Before we get started with the video, I need to clarify that I wrote the script 2 days prior to finding out that Blackpink was going to renew their contract with YG. I made a 2 of my points under the assumption that Blackpink won't renew and that BABYMONSTER will be YG's only girl group, so I obviously contemplated whether or not I should leave those parts in the videos. But guess what, Nancy? Everything will remain as it was because my math was still mathing, and at the end of the day, those thoughts still reflect my first impression about BABYMONSTER's debut. My other tiny small disclaimer is that as of right now, BABYMONSTER hasn't performed on any music shows yet, which means that I wasn't able to add any of their fan cams in the background of this video. Because YG doesn't want to see women succeed, literally, we will sadly have to make do with Batter Up's blurred music video in the background. You should probably thank me for giving your eyes some free time from all the visual stimulation they probably have to go through on a day-by-day basis. No, seriously, say thanks. When the song released, I didn't immediately run to YouTube to listen to it. Instead, like every addict, I scrolled through Twitter to see what all the other K-pop stans were thinking. You might call it conducting research. Stan Twitter entered their hater era again, as usual, and to no one's surprise. From being compared to Lisa's Money, to being called a terrible Blackpink reject and the most uncreative song ever, Batter Up was catching strays left, right, and center. I even saw someone insert Blackpink's voices into the song with AI, and many people liked Batter Up way more now that they were able to hear Blackpink sing the song that probably belonged to them from the get-go. I can't sit here and deny that this song is screaming Blackpink's name. I think that much is obvious. So we got that critique point out of the way. Now, is the song really that bad just because it sounds like it should belong to Blackpink and thus turned out to be a bad attempt at copying Blackpink's formula? No, I seriously don't think that the song in itself is the issue here. I am not saying that it is amazing, but it is certainly by far not as bad as Stan Twitter made it seem, and also not one of the worst debut songs ever. I think we all know who that title goes to. So if another group from a different company released Batter Up, without any ties to YG or Blackpink as a group, people wouldn't have been that quick to draw parallels because at the end of the day, the girl crush concept was done by many groups before, and there were previous song releases that sounded a lot like Batter Up without falling into Blackpink's discography. And I don't think that the song would have been as hated as it is either. The problem arises when you look at BABYMONSTER's debut as a whole and realize that YG just copy-pasted Blackpink's entire formula, concept and image onto their new group without as little as even attempting to come up with something original. The other issue is that copy-pasting Blackpink's song formula onto a debut song felt very funny in a bad way. Blackpink are known for their bitch tracks, for lack of a better word. They sing about how much better they are than the rest, that they are on top and that without them, only the insignificant rest of the industry would be left. Whether or not you agree with those lyrics, you need to admit that Blackpink are backing their claims up by actually being the most successful girl group. The same cannot be said for rookies like BABYMONSTER. You want me? Look in the mirror. You will never be able to get me, and if I rise, I turn into an unstoppable monster, is what those young girls are basically singing about, and that would have been amazing as a second or third comeback title track. But debuting with those lyrics in the time where girl groups like New Jeans, Eve, and Lesser Firm are on top of their game? I just don't know about that. In my mind, you should only grow that big of an ego if you established yourself as a powerhouse already. I don't just want to see you sing about how much better you are, I want to see it with my own eyes too. And of course this is no shade against BABYMONSTER. I am only shit-talking YG here like it's my full-time job. All I'm trying to say is that releasing that song would have been fine and could have probably worked out for BABYMONSTER if they didn't debut with it. Right now, Stan Twitter doesn't look at the girls as future successors of anybody, let alone Blackpink, and people generally don't think that the girls will be able to rise to the current popularity level that other girl groups hold right now if YG doesn't set them apart from the rest. In a way, you can argue that this overconfident song introduces BABYMONSTER as monster rookies that aren't afraid to show you how much of a powerhouse they are. I'm not saying that this is a terrible approach. It could have even worked out if the song in itself didn't portray the very evident truth that YG didn't care enough to actually put any originality or effort into this new debut. Let's be honest, no one was actually expecting YG to come up with something original, but they could have at least recycled an older concept and innovated it. But why would they do that when it's so much easier to just pick a song from the Blackpink folder and run with it? Song and lyrics put aside, people also hated the music video because it seemed cheaply made. I even saw people argue that Nuga groups get higher budgets than that, and I won't lie, that statement amused me a little. Hey, I'm only human. I can't stop myself from laughing at YG's expense. So, unoriginal song plus unoriginal music video equals a big formula for disaster. We all know that, but apparently someone forgot to tell YG about it. Who's gonna take the blame for it, because it won't be me. I personally didn't hate the music video, but I won't sit here and argue with the claims that the group shots were screaming low-budget last-minute set. The my isn't though, let's not push this narrative to the extremes. Nothing about this debut was terrible. Just very unoriginal and boring. Somehow I think that might be worse than terrible. At least people would have remembered the debut for being the worst ever instead of forgetting about the entire debut because YG didn't let those poor girls stand out at all. Did I mention that they haven't even performed on any music shoes yet? Hey, YG, where's their Studio Chum performance or wait, haha, how about an actual physical release? Good joke. My conclusion is that YG embarrassed themselves with this debut. I hope no one jumps to their defense, because there is literally nothing to defend. They are one of the big four companies. They should know better by now. And that brings us to my next point. YG is currently not in the best position to do anything half-assed. Their biggest group is at a risk of disbanding and not renewing their exclusive contract, and their boy group has also seen better days if I can be honest here. Treasure is jumping from one scandal to the next. The girlies are eating them up on Twitter, and I mean that in the derogatory sense. How they managed to let their boy group flop, when they were argued to be fourth-gen leaders a while ago. God, that term gets thrown around way too much, is beyond me. Treasure started out really well, and some of their songs became viral online. And we also need to acknowledge the reality that boy groups generally grow loyal and steady fan bases, while girl group fans tend to jump onto newer, bigger, and arguably better groups very quickly. We've seen that happen to Stacy, we saw it really recently with Mix and ITZY. All I'm saying is that it is normally harder to fumble a boy group's success, and yet YG somehow managed to accomplish that quite easily. Treasure is doing the worst out of all Big Four fourth-gen boy groups, and I'd even argue that some non-Big Four boy groups are also outdoing them. We have a Tease as an example, and I think that Zikers and ZB1 are also doing quite well for themselves even though you might count them into 5th gen. So, YG is in a tough spot. They fumbled their boy group and might fumble Blackpink too. They weren't in the position to gamble with BABYMONSTER's debut, but they did. And I tried to understand the thought process behind half-assing this debut, but damn, if Blackpink leaves and their only girl group left will be BABYMONSTER, I just can't understand why they didn't try harder. You can't just put no effort in and expect your group to gain crazy popularity. No, let me rephrase that. If your group is already established and you just don't care and constantly recycle their songs and concepts, like YG is doing with Blackpink, they will of course still do well. They have loyal fans that are starving for content and group activities. But the reality is that what worked for Blackpink won't necessarily work out the same way for BABYMON because BABYMONSTER aren't Blackpink. YG, are you hearing this? Two different groups. Not the same. So, people were already mad at Teddy and YG for recycling Blackpink's songs for their comebacks. Even though I personally liked most of their new releases a lot, I can't blame fans for being mad at Blackpink's lack of artistic development. And I'm sure that YG was aware that people weren't happy with Blackpink's musical direction. Hell, some Blinks want Teddy to end up jobless forever because he always gives Blackpink the same songs. So, what do we think was YG expecting by not only giving Baby Monster unoriginal songs, but to also have the audacity to just try and copy Blackpink's sound? They must have had a reason for intentionally fumbling Baby Monster, because I just don't believe that an established company is this oblivious and clueless. Maybe they just didn't care about Baemon from the get-go, but why would they even debut them then? Guys, I'm a K-pop fan. Obviously, I think that I could manage groups better than those companies. Hello? So, I would have debuted Baby Monster at least a year ago. Is this sounding crazy to you? Well damn, stop jumping to conclusions like a damn kangaroo on drugs, and let me explain first. By debuting Baby Monster in the time where Blackpink's future is uncertain, Baby Monster will automatically be compared to Blackpink, and breaking out of that shadow would have been insanely difficult under normal circumstances. But by the way, YG basically just tried to debut Blackpink 2.0, they dug those girls an even bigger grave. By debuting them at least a year ago, yes, even if we had a lot of Monster rookies debut at the same time, Baby Monster would have had the necessary time frame to establish themselves as a unique group without making it seem like YG just had to debut them because Blackpink was about to leave and they needed someone else to fill that girl group spot. Other companies like JYP have Twice and Stray Kids to rely on, so to them, the necessity to put a lot of effort into mix wasn't there after they weren't as well received as other groups. All other big four companies have other groups to fall back on, is what I'm saying. They can deal with a few flops. I'm not sure if YG can. Well, apparently YG realized that they have no room to fumble, because they really went online and released a post that basically said that they were going to start international auditions to find Blackpink's and Big Bang's successor. By doing so, they loudly admitted that they fumbled the bag with both Treasure and Baby Monster. I just think that it's so wild to say that about a group that has barely debuted. It's basically their first day on the job. There will be many opportunities in the future to turn this situation around for Baby Monster. I just don't believe that YG wants to put the necessary effort in to actually allow Baemon to flourish and establish themselves as a unique and individual group in the industry. If they wanted to, they would have tried harder from the beginning. To YG, Baby Monster seems like an experiment gone wrong, and I think that it's so unfair to those girls. I really hope that this agency will get a grip and do better. Give the girls more releases ASAP, send them on music shows, give them a physical album and let them stand out. They deserve it. Honestly, looking at my thoughts with a new perspective actually answered a lot of my previous questions and confusions. Here I was sitting and wondering why YG just didn't put any care into Baby Monster, and now I get it. Why put all that effort in your new group if your main group will continue their activities and generate you very easy money? Now I am thinking that YG wanted to debut Baby Monster as a backup just in case Blackpink wouldn't renew, but after it became clear that they will, they just stopped caring completely about Baby Monster, and why would they? Blackpink is right there. God, I hope that I'm wrong on this.